me 1 minute to introduce you and in English, and then we can start speaking. I'll let you know as soon as we're live. I believe we are live. And so let me just tweet this or put it on Facebook. Yeah, we are in fact live. And I'm going to just post this link. Just one more page. Good afternoon. If you're listening our dialogue today on 4C channel from Southeast Asia or other parts of Asia, if you're in European Central Time Zone, again, good afternoon. I have an honor and a pleasure to introduce my Ukrainian brother. We call each other brothers in anarchy. The Petro symbol is originally from Iping, and he is a very well-known filmmaker and producer, and he traveled with about 20 of us Burmese and international genocide scholars and activists to Auschwitz. He traveled all the way from Ukraine to come and help us produce the educational film of 50 minutes called Auschwitz Lessons Never Learned. And little did we know that you know, this was back in April or March of 2020, 2 years ago, when Poland instituted its very first lockdown around COVID. And now Petro is in Kyiv, and he has been documenting different war crimes that the Russian troops have been committing in different parts of his country. And, you know, long before the Western media picked up on the fact that the Russian troops were using Ukrainian civilians, including children, women, and others, as human shields. Petro called me on Messenger, and we talked, and he mentioned pointedly that the Russians were using the Ukrainian civilians as human shields. And so I have invited, you know, Petro to come and share his experience living under this, you know, atrocious conditions. Petro, brother, welcome.
Hi there. Hi everyone. My name is Petro, and maybe I will start to say about my story about Russian invasion in Ukraine. So, as you know, the war was starting in 2014. So not so a lot of people know about that, and the war was going, and it's going on the east of Ukraine. The the Russian propaganda makes this quasi-republic of Donetsk and Lugansk region, and the invasion was started in 24 February. At that time, I was in Irpin, a city not far from Kyiv, and I have my own house there, and I live in there with my wife and 3 children. So the first day was like a big stress for all of us, for many people who didn't believe that it's possible that Russian will start this invasion from all the parts of Ukrainian borders, from the east, from north, and from south of Ukraine. And one of the main goals of Russian troops was to get airports behind the Kyiv. It's a near city called Hostomel. It's like 10 kilometers from Irpin, and the first fights was starting there. Like more than 30 helicopters come to Hostomel airport, and around of 200 troopers, Russian troops, come there. And as you know, a lot of techniques come from the Belarus border, and going through the cities, from the northern cities like Ivankiv, Borodyanka, and Dimir, and also through the Chernobyl, where is a nuclear station, electrical station. And the situation was like a lot of people try. At the first day, it was like 4 a.m., 4 o'clock of morning, start to try to escape Kyiv region and go to the west. So there was a big traffic, and a lot of people tried to escape. So I was staying in Irpin because I have no possibility to get out, and because of traffic, and also I have switch out. I have no transport to get somewhere. And from the first day, we was like hearing of fighting, which was going in Hostomel airport. And the next day, it was 25. My parents, they living in Kyiv, and they come and get my children and go to the west. Not west, but they go to the Vinnytsia region. It was more safety there, and it was a big problem to get some gas, to It was a big problem because of traffic. Usually you can go to the Lviv like 6 or 7 hours, but at that time it was took like 2 days, 3 days to get to the Lviv by the car. So they go like 300 kilometers like 2 days. And I was staying in Irpin with my wife. We start to prepare our basement to hide in there because we're hearing a lot of explosion and artillery works, and we prepare some our basement and trying to be close to the place, to be to have possibility quick get there. And the next day, one of our neighbor, one girl, she's 19 year old, and she come to us. She's a friend of my older daughter, and she come to us. She was really scared because I'm you know, I was shooting on the front line, and I was not so scary about this bombing and artillery work, but she was really scared. She like a lot of people, and who was never close to the war, and she was so scary. She didn't want to get out from the basement all the time. She afraid of all the sounds she hear, and she was really stressed by that. So the next day, a couple of days, it was like 27, 28, the Russian troops was going through the city Bucha. It's close to like a few kilometers from Irpin, northern Irpin. And they tried to get through the Bucha, through the Irpin, because we have the bridges to the Kyiv, and all of the cities, Hostomel, Bucha, Irpin. There is a river Irpin decided from the Kyiv. So they try to get through the cities, through the bridges, to Kyiv. And the next, I didn't remember, maybe 26 or 25 of February, the bridges through the Irpin River was destroyed by Ukrainian army to prefer not to get Russian troops to the Kyiv. So we was in that situation. We understand that Russian troop is coming in city and will come, and a lot of people was escaped who have the car and possibility, and also gas, because there was a big problem with the gas to ride somewhere. And also in the first time, a lot of people was believed that they will be stopped by Ukrainian army. But Russian troops was a really huge, you know, but maybe you see there is a lot of photo in internet. There's a long columns of Russian vehicles and tanks, like for tens of kilometers long, coming there. They was coming and coming, and it was not possible to stop them. The fight line was there in Bucha, in Irpin, and Gostomel, and all the time we're hearing of fighting with Ukrainian army with the Russian troops, and because of that, all the ways to escape was cut in by the Russian troops, and we need to stay there in Irpin. And 28th of February, it was the first time they tried to invite to Irpin, and Ukrainian troops and Ukrainian resistance, because a lot of people from the first day go to resistance. The only problem was that we didn't have enough of weapons to fight, and you know, they come in with the tanks, and people only have rifles, and the people from the cities who was stay, they start to make this Molotov cocktails. It's a burning cocktails with, from the gas and other components. So everybody was preparing to fight, like with no rifles, with no weapons, only with that. But still, the Russian troops was really, it was a huge of tanks, and what we was seeing, it was really impossible to resist this army with what we have. So we was staying there in the basement. We was hiding when the fighting was going more close, and we hearing all the time like Russian is coming, and fighting is starting to be close to us. And then Ukrainian army was making some counterattack, and they go more far. And to the 4th of March, it was like that. All the time, all the day we waiting, they come in and then they go out, they come in and they then go out. Only we heard that they come to the Bucha, and then Ukrainian army come to the Bucha, and there was no possibility to go out from the city. And also, how I told you, there was this young lady with us, and I was prepared to that. From 2014, we had this emergency bags, yes. So it was old, but we have everything. We can quickly go out from our city if it's needed. And we was preparing to go by the foot, but it was not impossible with this young lady because she was really scared. She was in the stress, and she was always hiding in the basement. I don't remember, maybe it was like 2nd or 3rd of March, the government of Irpin, they start to make this evacuation from Irpin by train. The first train of evacuation started, and we start to find the way how to get there, because there was no transport, and we didn't know if the fighting going through this Irpin street or not, because we're hearing somewhere is shooting and explosions. And at the 1st of March, we find the way how to evacuate this girl, young lady, and so we stay alone with my wife. People around start to prepare some defense force by what we have with the possibility we have. So we're preparing some stop lines, some checkpoints, but you know, it was like good for fighting with the troops, but not good for fighting with the tanks, because for tanks it's nothing. This what we can do. But the way all the fightings are still was in Bucha city, and we only hear it's coming more close, and then it's go far from that place, and in the end, at 1st of March, the our region, it's a fully civilian region of the city. There is no infrastructure for army infrastructure. There is no army infrastructure in our city. It's a living region. The whole city is like living region. We have no factories, no some army infrastructure. There is nothing like that. Only civilian resistance, only some checkpoints with the civilians, with hunting rifles was and in the 1st of March there is the first artillery bombs coming from the side of Russian troops. We're hearing a lot of explosion, you know, when the tanks explode. I know that it's far from us, like 10 kilometers, where the fighting's going. But it's really you hearing also in basement. You feeling this
Vibration.
Yeah, vibration of this explosion. It's really strong, and but in 4th of March, the first bombs coming in our region of our city. It was really close to my house, like maybe 300 meters. There is a big house, 20 floors house, and 3 mines coming to that house. They destroyed the gas reductor, and it's starting to noise because gas start to coming out, and all the time from that moment we all the time hearing this noise. At first, people start to do something to try to repair it, and at that time, civilians understand that we have nothing against these weapons, against artillery, and we are under big it's a big problem for all of people, strong people who are, want to resist, want to fight, but they have nothing to fight with that. And all of these people start to find the way how to get out. So I was telling you that there was destroying all the bridges, and they cut the Russian army start to come across. They try to blockade Kyiv city, so they go more south, and there was no way with the road. And we also in that time we also know that some people who tried to escape with the car, they was shooted by the Russian troops. There was a lot of information like this. We know that in the south part of region there is a fighting, and there is also the Russian troops, and but after the bombs coming to our region so close to us, start destroying this building. It was start another time, you know, because before this we have light, we have electricity, we have gas, we have heating, and the markets was working, not so long, but it was some communication. Also, we see that civilian resist was there, and some volunteers coming, some TV reporters coming. We saw Ukrainian army troopers was there, but in the 1st of March, it was like really changed for Irpin city. I mean, because we didn't know what is going in Bucha. We just hearing it. We saw it because all the night it was fighting was going. We hearing this and feeling this vibration of explosion. But it was really far from us, like a few kilometers. So so people was not so scared, you know. They was like they thinking to stay here, to wait until Ukrainian army will destroy the Russian army and stop this invasion. But when the bombs come into our region, close to us, in the civilian buildings, after that, all of us was really, and it's I need to say, because all the people who was stay, you know, now in our world, people living in these big buildings, but they don't really communicate with each other. Okay, they can know someone on the floor, they can know they have some communication with of their house, if it's apartments house, and but they not so solidarity, yes. And after invasion started, people who was staying in Irpin, who didn't escape, they start the solidarity. We start to more communicate. We start to do everything together. Start to prepare in this defense construction. Start to talk about how we will resist the Russian troops, the Russian vehicles, how we will use this. We start to prepare some tactic how to resist. In the 1st of March, in evening, all of us was understand that we need to go to stay alive, because it's more important to stay here and trying to protect our houses. It's not so important than our lives. So at the 5th of March, a lot of people start. It was a second wave of evacuation from Irpin, and from the early morning, people who were staying there start to go out. It was not a lot of way to do that. One of them was to get to train station and go by evacuation trains, and the second way was to get to Romanivka, it's a bridge from Irpin to Kyiv. The bridge was destroyed, but there was a possibility to go by foot through the river, through the through this bridge. And the third way was to get by the car, but it was really dangerous because there was information that in the forest behind the Stoyanka, it's a road through the forest, and there was an information that Russian troops are there, and they can shoot to the civilian. Because of we have no car, and my wife and I, and we need to find a way. So we try to escape with our neighbors, and but there was no places for us. There was a lot of old people, children, women, and so we start to go by the foot to the train station, and then small car with a family with a little child was going, and we take us and with my dog because I have dog and small dog and 2 cats, so we need to leave cats there. We just take out all the food outside, and also with the dog, I think that it's not possible to get with the dog out, and but I have my own house, so for them it's not so a big problem, yes, so, for cats. But I take dog with mine, and we sit. We was escaped with these good people who was the peoples from Donetsk, and so they come to Irpin. This family with a small child, they come to Irpin in 2014. They was exiled from Donetsk, and we was going to the Romanivka bridge and talking about that. They go out from Donetsk, they was hiding from the war, and the war is coming here in this region. So we get to with this family, we get to the Baptist church, Christianity church, and there was they helped with there was a lot of volunteers who helped people to get to Romanivka bridge because it's far, like few kilometers from Irpin. It's a part of Irpin, but not so close to the center. And the volunteers going by the cars, they take people from the church and get it to the bridge and then come back. And while we start to go out, we hearing that the fighting coming more close. So the bomb is coming like really close to our houses, and only after we know this information that they start to bomb in our region, and a lot of houses of my neighbors was destroyed, and a lot of civilians was killed by bombs. And while they're trying to escape. And also when we was behind the church, there was like we seen these flights with the bombs. They going really really not higher. They really close to the ground, like maybe 20 meters, and you really see these bombs on these flights, and you're thinking that these bombs just can come right now to you, and it's your end. So people was in that situation. They seen that their death was really close to them. Then we get to the Romanivka bridge with the car, and then we need to go like maybe like 1 kilo, not few hundred meters. You need to go by foot, going through the European River. And while we going through this river, every people try to help each other, because there is a lot of old people, there was a lot of children. Also, Ukrainian army was helping people get this through this bridge, and get through the other side. There is coming buses from Kyiv and take people to the train station of Kyiv, to the evacuation trains. And while we're going through this river, the Russian troops start to bombing this region, this bridge. So everybody knows that it's only way to escape. And also we have the information that the railroad bridge was also destroyed by the Russian artillery. And people from the train station, a lot of people who come into evacuation trains, they need to go by foot to this bridge. Maybe you saw these pictures when people are hiding under bridge. A lot of people, 1,000 of people need to go out and they hiding because while we go through this bridge, they start to bombing with the artillery, and it was like place you you don't know where to hide. And on the next day, there was a lot of injuries by these mines of the civilians who tried to escape the Romanivka bridge. I think it's what we need to know about Russian troops, about Russian tactics. It was not to not the way they try to. It's not the real war. It's not the war behind Russian army and Ukrainian army. It's a war against people. It's invasion to occupy the territory, not the people, not the infrastructure, because they destroy everything. The goal is to get the point of territory, to get control not of the city, but get control of the territory, to destroy territory, to make chaos, to make people, to make panic, and it was like that. So the bombing, the way of evacuation of civilian. And all the people try to escape through this, and they need to do this. They hiding from the mines because mines was going down like 100 meters, 200 meters before or after, you know, it was like 120 millimeters mines. And we laying down on the street, try to hide because there is not a lot of places to hide from the artillery. It's a big road. And then we're running through this place. We're running through the Romanivka and get to this evacuation buses. And then we get to the Kyiv. We get to the Kyiv, and it was really difficult because you just was in one bag, you know, and you understand that everything is like in past time. The only you have, it's your life, maybe some suits, but it's not so important. The only things was like, okay, you can eat something, you have some food for your dogs, and then we come to railroad station, the main railroad station of Kyiv, and there was a lot of people like staying there and waiting and trying to escape because all of them are civilians and they need to be in safe. All of them was scared, and all of them, but it's also what the Russian army didn't get. They want to make a panic. They want to make a chaos inside the cities, but they didn't get this point because mm, yes, everybody was scared, but it was really calm, you know. People was uh, really really calm and how it calls solidarity, and they like they doing this all the day, you know. So it was, nobody was panic, nobody was, yes, in the first days there was a time, you know, when people tried to get their children and maybe more it was panic not because of Ukrainians, it was more about foreigners who tried to escape the first day from Kyiv. Because when Ukrainian people start to escape, it was like, you know, we was doing, because we have the war until 2014. All the time, maybe nobody was believed about this invasion, but everybody know and everybody hear in the mind of all the people, they was thinking about that. It can be or not. So if you think about that, you're preparing for it. Maybe because of this, people was so solidarity, so calm, and they help each other. So when you can stop, sit, or you stay, everybody tried to help each other. Everybody tried to find the way how to help. Okay, you have problem. People start to talk, not like usual, but okay, usually you can find not a lot of you know, communication sometimes, but in that time it was like you can find everything you need from the people who have nothing, who lost everything. And maybe because you lost everything, you find that all you have, it's the people who behind you, who around.
How did your uh, children and wife um, get out of Ukraine? And also, what happened to your parents?
So yes, I will go step by step. After we get the railroad station, uh, at that time, my children with my parents was in Vinnytsia region, in the village. They was there like more than a week, 10 days. Friend of mine have the possibility to to give the place for living, and my plan was to get to the Vinnytsia, to get to go to this village and then go to the Lviv, because I also have the possibility to live there. You know, my friend of mine, he go to army, and he have apartment, and he called me and say, okay, if you need, you can come here. So we go on step by step, because it's not like usually you can come to Lviv by the 5 hour with the train, and we go to the Vinnytsia, we stay there one night. I have my uncle living there. Then we get with the car with my children, and the next day, and then go to the train and get to the Lviv. It was also not so easy, because we come to the train station and we don't know if we get the train or not, because all the trains which come into from the Vinnytsia, it's a trains from the Kyiv, and it was full of people. But they find a way to make a new connection, new extra trains to evacuation trains from the Vinnytsia directly to the Lviv. So we got the Lviv, and of course, for me it was really important to make the safe of my children and my wife. In the law of Ukraine now, in the war situation, men's men's from 18th to 16 year cannot go through the border. Only if you have the problem with the health, or you have 3 or more childs. So I can cross the border easily, but without some problems. But I need to stay here and help with resist as I can. But when we come to the Lviv, it's like you coming from European, from the Kyiv, and it was really different. A lot of people going through the streets. Yes, people, they come to Lviv and they understand, they feeling like in safe place. But now there is no safe place in Ukraine, because of the rocket bombings. It's not. There is no places in Ukraine where you can feel safe. So in Lviv and like in Kyiv, you're hearing like couple of not a couple, few times per day you hearing this air alarm, and you need to go to find some place to hide, because you never can know where the rocket will come in. And it's now after after freeing of uh, Kyiv region and Chernihiv region, we feel I feel the same in Kyiv like in Lviv, because it's all like it's now dangerous because you don't feel these troops, Russian troops or Russian artillery close to you, but you understand the rockets are still close to you. And you know, today was Russian was bombing by the rocket the railroad station in city Kramatorsk. It was like few hours ago. It's a east part of Ukraine, and there was a main railroad station from which people can evacuate from that region. And they bombed it. More than 30 people killed, more than 100 people injured by this bomb. So, and after that, the Russian media says it's Ukrainian army was bombing this railroad station. And this is the main tactic of Russian war. They try to, it's a fake news war. And it's a fake news war about how they trying to destroy Ukrainian cities and kill Ukrainian people. They didn't care about people, they didn't care about Russian people, how they said, and it's easy to understand what they should do when you listen or watching Russian media, because you understand that if they talking like that, it means like it will be
The opposite.
yeah, you understand that they will do that. They doing these terrible things, and it's really, it's horrible. It was like they bombing this hospital in Mariupol, because before this they make a news about that some Ukrainian forces are in this hospital. And it's always like that. Now they're doing like that. It's a lie that making kills. And it was like that until from 2014. It's really it really hard to understand it, to believe in it. That's why some people are still didn't believe in that Russian will stay in with this, and the war will go on. After all of this terrible things, what we know about Bucha, about Mariupol, all people hope that they will stop. After that, they will stop, they will stop, they will stop, but they didn't stop. We see it, they didn't stop. And also for my wife, also for children, it was hard to believe that they come to Lviv and they still in dangerous. But I understand it. People in Lviv are still in dangerous. All Ukraine is still in dangerous, and not only because of rockets, but because Russian can start, and the main goal of Russia, it's not only west, east or south of Ukraine.
I mean, like Donbass and Crimea region.
Not only that, not only that, because you can listen to what the Putin says. He will do this. If they start to send, not only Putin, his propaganda media says, start to talking about Lviv, about occupation of Lviv, they will try to get this point. And they will never thinking about civilian lives, civilian peoples. They will destroy everything to get this point. And we already saw it in Bucha. We already saw it in city Borodyanka. We already saw it in all the east and south region. They already come.
You know, you told me about the Russian troops using, you know, Ukrainian civilians who were trapped in, trapped in cities near Irpin, your old city or town. Can you tell the viewers what you saw and what you heard? You know, because like you were looking for the word human shields. Just 2 or 3 days ago, Western media started to cover this story of Russian troops using Ukrainian civilians, you know, so that Ukrainian army and resistance could not attack them. You know, human shield. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, it's more about war tactic. So the main problem of resistance, of Ukrainian resistance, it was because Russian coming inside the cities not to get control of the cities, because they don't have respect of the people of cities they come in, they invade. But they using the civilians building, they start to hide in the living region where real Ukrainian army cannot get them with the artillery. And it's not what we didn't know about them, about their tactic. About this tactic, Putin was saying in 2014, in the first in the end of March, when they start to occupy Crimea. When one of the journalists was asking him if he afraid that it can start the war because of this occupation, because of this annexion, because there was Russian troops and Ukrainian army. He said, we will never do that. Also, if we do that, our troops will stay in not the front of people, but in the people, the civilian, Ukrainian civilian people will stand on front of Russian army. And there was a reason of this. He said, let's see if Ukrainian army will shoot to their people.
So they're actually using Ukrainian civilian as human shield against the resistance and army attacks from Ukraine, right?
Yeah, because if you know the campaign of this part of campaign of trying to get the Kyiv, and also part of campaign in the south of Ukraine are still have had possibility because they get to nuclears, Chernobyl nuclear electricity station and Energodar nuclear station. So that is the shield of people. They understand that nobody can that Ukrainian army will never will never fight in that region because of civilian, because it's but they didn't care about that. And also how they go to and how they try to occupy territory. They using the living regions for hiding, for building their dots and building checkpoints and hiding their vehicles and tanks inside and behind the city's civilians' houses. Also, when they're trying to escape, there was a lot of information. They using civilians. They take them and there is a lot of and using them while they're going somewhere.
So it's like hostages, yeah?
Yeah, hostages. And now they also doing that in the east region. When they get some cities, they start to, part of people, they start to evacuate, but it's not evacuation because it's hostages of these people. And it more deep level of terrorism, you know, because you understand that the people will be into dangerous. Hello.
Yes. Hello, are you there, Petro?
Yeah. I'm here.
Yeah. I understand, like, this is a different form of terrorism that the Russian troops are using to keep the Russian troops safe from Ukrainian attacks or population. I have the three short, specific questions. One is about your choice. You know, obviously, you're a father of three children, and you know, I'm also a father of two, and you know, even under the Ukrainian emergency law, that Ukrainian men between the ages of 18 and 60 must not leave the country and stay to be a part of your resistance. But you have three children, and you would have been, you know, able to leave the country, but you sent your children and wife away, and you decided to stay and do what you can, uh, you know, for the resistance against the Russian invasion. You know, I can understand. I mean, like, how I can imagine how difficult and painful that choice must have been for you, because you know, as you say, nowhere in Ukraine is safe for Ukrainian people who stay behind. Um, what went through your mind when you made that choice?
Maybe the most hardly of part of this choice was to explain it to my wife. But it's not a hard choice for me to stay here. I really understand the situation that there is no safe place, and that's why I was asking my wife to leave, to go to escape the Ukraine with the children, to be, because the hardest part was for me is to care of safety of my children, and that's why I stay in here. That's why I trying to be the part of resistance. Also maybe because since 2016 I'm doing this in cinema, and it's a part of what I can do, and I'm doing my best. Yes, it's more hardly to go out and not to be here, not to be the part of resistance, not to be a part of doing something to finish this story to get the victory.
So can you tell us what you are focused on, and you know, that you are, instead of picking up a gun, you are using your, you know, enormous you know, professional skill as a videographer and filmmaker. You know, you are using these skills to contribute to the resistance. Can you tell us, you know, the kind of activities that you are engaged in?
It's not easy to. It's like I'm usually doing. I'm editing films. I'm producing some some new films, new documentary. I'm trying to produce to making supervising of the studio, and I'm doing what I was doing all the times, and but in a new situation, because I need to go to the Lviv, making new communication, and maybe now all of us are making some volunteers for helping people, you know, to because you have a lot of friends, you need to help someone to find the place to live, to find the way to evacuate, to find some aids to some people who need it, and find some contacts from one volunteers to another. So now it's going like that, and all of Ukrainians who work are still working in that in cinema, because I'm understanding that the culture, the cinema is very strong weapons now, and we need to do a lot to protect our country and protect the world from Russian media and fake news weapons. So our weapon is the truth, and their weapons are liar. And to have a victory, because it's very hard to fight against the lie, and to have a victory in this war, we need to tell more truth than they tell in lie.
So you are weaponizing facts and truths on the ground as part of resistance, you know, because the invasion is launched by Russia, not simply on the ground militarily with missiles and, you know,
Yeah.
tanks, but
Yeah.
they are also, you know, for instance, like Lavrov, you know, he keeps on telling lies anywhere he goes, you know, to the media. And like you talked about, you know, the Russian, you know, attack on maternity hospital in Mariupol, right? And also the attack on the train station, and then Lavrov saying these are all fake news, or simply that's a Ukrainian resistance and Ukrainian army that committed atrocities and they blame it on us, right? So the Russian troops are committing atrocities against Ukrainian people, civilians, and residential areas, and then they blame it on the Ukrainian army, and then they accuse the you know the media and other organizations as fabricating, you know, fake news against Russia. And then now Lavrov is saying this will not help the negotiations for ceasefire because the Ukrainians are promoting fake news, right? So that's what Lavrov and Putin's propaganda machine are pumping out, you know, lies after lies.
Yeah, because, you know, nobody will pay for truth, and this machine of propaganda, Russian propaganda, they put a lot of money, they put a lot of a lot of people to doing this, and it's hardly because it's like they're using this Hebel's tactic. If you will talk, giving people lie more and more and more, they will believe it in it. Not like with the truth, because the truth, not a lot of people want to hear. And the situation in Ukraine is like that, because it's hard to hear the truth. The truth is not like a lie. It cannot be so simply and understandable. It's always have the problem. It's always need to find a compromise. It's always need to think more, and it's always more hardly to tell in the truth, because you need to be really true, you know? Because if you use a lie in what you gonna tell, in the way you're gonna tell the truth, if you will use in the lie, it will be not the truth. So we need to be more intelligent. We need to work more with that and find a way to talk about that, to talk about what is going on in all the world, because it's not going only in Ukraine, because propaganda, Russian propaganda machine working in all the world, in Europe, in United States, in Great Britain, in all the Asian world. And we need to understand it. People need to understand it. So we need to talk about that, but it will hard to hear it for people in US, in Europe, and in Great Britain. You know, it's hard to hear for them that, okay, maybe you under the propaganda. So we need to talk about that. Now the world are decided that all the world now in the war, in the information war, and the information war is more than half of the
actual war.
Yeah.
Yeah, on that point, you know, the Putin talked about Ukraine as, you know, culturally and historically tied up or bound up with the old Russia, right? So like this or Rus, right? And
Yeah.
but from the Ukrainian perspective, you know, you shared the Orthodox Christianity, but the
Mostly.
Ukrainian church split from the Moscow's based Orthodox patriarchy, right? And so the Russian patriarch was openly supporting Putin's invasion, right?
Yeah.
And so you share the religion, you have some similarities culturally with the Russian people. A lot of Russian people feel that Ukrainians are their brothers, right? And maybe like I don't know, I don't speak either Ukrainian or Russian, so I cannot tell. Can you tell us about the you know, your identity, your culture, your society in relation to Russian culture, Russian language, and Russian identity?
Okay, so it's it's a part of the history. Part of the history because the we never talking about that. What was going on in Europe 1,000 years ago? Nobody want to remember this. Yeah. Nobody in the Great Britain or in the Italy or Germany, France want really to talk about their history, because there is the bad sides and the good sides of this part of this historical episodes. And we only know that, and we can explain it only by the way we understand that it was building on the lie. I mean, the bad parts of history. So the part of the, if we're talking about identity and national identity, and it's really important because it's a hard question for Europe, for US, for Great Britain. You know what I mean? Because we under the lie about this word. So what do we mean when we're talking about national identity? It's very important to understand, because as you say, and it's a truth that Ukraine, it's mostly Christianity, Orthodox Christianity community. And the main religion was here, the last hundreds of years, is a Christianity world. But we have a long history here in this place where we live in now. You need to know that Kyiv have the history like 1,500 of years. And a lot of cities, like Hostomel city was founded in the 8th century, you know. So not like Moscow, which was founded in which century? Who knows? In Europe, who knows where was founded Kyiv and where was founded Moscow? So the situation what we have now, when we talking about Ukraine after the Russia, it's not because I trying to say that Russia is more or Ukrainian more than Russia or French or Germany or Italy or Hindi or British people or Irish people. You understand that I mean, I'm like an anarchist and like a Christian anarchist. I believe that the God gives land for different nationality. There was a plan, not from people, to doing like that. So we need to care about the land where we are from. We need to care about this situation, and in this, you know, if you will look to Ukraine in the map, you will understand it's a center of the different roads of the different. It's a center where the different civilization was contact, you know. together. So, and yes, we have this language, we have our culture, we have our mentality because of that. Not like Europe, not like Turkish, not like Asian, not like Russia. Okay, we also can talk about that Russia is not Russia because it was younger than Ukraine, because Moscow is younger than Kyiv, and we know that chiefs of Moscow was one of the son of the Kiev chief. You know, after the Mongolian conquers the Kyiv. So we need to learn more about history. We need to understand that, okay, the Russian, that when it became the empire, it started to destroy the history of their colonies. And the problem was that Russia means like they need to go to make Ukrainian more Russia, because Russia without Ukraine is nothing, because they will be without this history we already had the history of Ukraine, that this is a history which Russia wants to have.
So Putin was basically attempting to, make Ukraine and Ukrainian people small and make Russia big culturally, right? So they wanted to make
it's not only Putin. You need to understand this part of political of northern Russia. Yes, it's a part of political that they doing through the until 18th century, 17th century, when they come here and find here is it's a different than them. It's a different in Christianity tradition. It's a different in language tradition. It's a different with the culture tradition. But they find themselves like an empire. So the empire need to conquer other culture, conquer other languages. It's the same we can find in all the world now, not only with the history of the Russian conquering. So, I mean, the resistance of Ukrainians, yes, now it's against the Russian invasion, against the Russian troops, against the Russian culture, which are and was and were working for this invasion and many years before. So, but the main things what we're fighting for, it's we're fighting for the freedom from not only from the freedom for ourselves. It's not like the propaganda tried to explain what is going on in Ukraine, or what is the nationality culture of Ukraine. It's not a Nazi culture, nationality. So it's a culture of the people who was living here in this place. So the people who don't want to conquer somewhere, someone, the people, it's a nationality culture of the people who want to live here, where they born.
And also, uh, uh, from a Ukrainian anarchist perspective, and of course, like we call each other brothers in anarchy. Um, do you have any concerns about some of the right wing, racist, anti-homophobe, anti-gay um, elements within the within certain parts of Ukraine, that that have been pointed out as some Nazi sympathizers. I mean, Putin and Russian propaganda use this as an excuse. They use the word like an denazification, right? Of
Yeah,
course, like the nobody believes that Ukraine is like Nazi Germany. No one believes that, right? But Putin always highlights some of these neo-Nazi elements. The, what are your thoughts on some of these very um, troubling mindsets or ideological groups that may have given Ukraine some bad reputation? You know what I mean? Like
yeah. I understand what you're talking about. So what I can say is that on the one thing at first, that the really radical organization which you can find in Ukraine with a real, it's not like Nazi, but with a Nazi promoted, yeah, communities was only supported by the Russian government. It was organization, some part of this organization was really nationalistic, but the way of their nationalism was, like I say, it was a resistance against the Russia because of the old time of resistance, more than 500 years with the Russia. And the latest of them, like OUN or UPA, was really fighting with Soviet troopers, Soviet army, which was also trying to kill Ukrainian resistance, kill people who want to live with their identification in their lands. So we need to understand it like that. And then, yes, part of them, really small part, was investing by the KGB, by the FSB, by the Russian government to create this lie about Nazi in Ukraine, to make this propaganda uh, fake world of Ukrainian reality, and to make people in whole of Europe a part of Europe. You know, a lot of people in Europe will to uh, to think about that it can be. You know, because okay, the Ukrainian, they will show you somewhere, but now it's more than more possibility to do that if you kill in Ukrainians and really find the people who will fight for Ukrainian and will kill Russia and hate Russia.
Right. Yeah. So they needed that excuse, right? They needed an excuse, right? They help grow this elements, you know, within the
but the
Ukrainian.
elements are still nothing, because there is no elements. You can find like I don't know, maybe 20 peoples. Okay, you can find some organization, but it's not an organization who are really have some power. There is no power.
Or represent the society, right? They do not represent the Ukrainian people.
Not representation of Ukrainian people. If you will trying to find that people, you will never got the point. You know, you will never find it. Yes, okay. Some people will start to talk about that there are nationalists, and you will compare them with someone who is Nazi,
right?
And then it's a main part of Russian propaganda, of Russian lie, because they always doing like that. Now they come into the Kherson, they occupied Kherson, and if you saw, there is a lot of video through the internet where people all the days go to the street with Ukrainian flags, with Ukrainian and talking and crying that Kherson is Ukraine. They shoot to these people and saying Russia go away. But what they doing for the propaganda? They making the fake news. They making they hiring the actors and doing this fake news. They was doing this, and people start to believe in that and playing with this game. You know, it's a deep learning how to control the mind of the people when you have this big, strong propaganda machine.
Yeah, I mean Russian international propaganda machines extremely powerful. You see, I mean they were able to put Donald Trump in power in the United States, and they were also behind all these like Brexit, right-wing movement in UK. Yes, split UK from Britain, from the European Union. And they put in all these like right-wing Republican, congressional representatives in office. They're using like billions of dollars, right? And because sadly, Russia is still earning $800 million a day from Europe, because the Euro buys particularly Germany and Italy, and also Hungary as well, like buy massive amount of natural gas from Europe. I mean, from Russia. So the irony is like while the NATO and Europe are giving Ukrainian resistance weapons, they are also funding Russian war. at the rate of 800 million US dollar every day.
Yeah,
Every day,
yeah,
800 million, right?
that's
So
what I
what?
mean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
so,
what I mean.
yeah, go ahead. What is your final thought, and how can small people like myself and others help the Ukrainian resistance?
Okay, so we find that we have the three front lines. Yes, it's a real front lines of fighting with the troops, and it's what we all doing now. But what the second part is it's information line, front line, and the main maybe front line, it's an economical line. And but what we need to understand, I think what Europe need to understand, that Putin will not be stopped on Ukraine. The first, what people need to understand, it's not because of Putin, it because of the world is like that. It's also because of Europe, Great Britain, US, because they fighting against the Putin. So it's a big battle. They talking about they don't want to start the third world war, but it's going on. It's what we have now. It's what we have until we saw all of these conflicts. Not only in Ukraine, in Georgia, not only the conflicts where it was in the Syria, but also the conflicts in Yugoslavia, and what if we're talking about something new, something really against what we have now, something about anarchy, something about new world, we need to think how to correctly with this fighting against Russia now, not to lose our humanity and get the point, which is not only to win this battle, but to win the war which is in all of these front lines, the war which is going on now in all of the world. So I think what we need to do, we need to do this in the culture, in the philosophy, in the finding a new system, a new finding a new way to building our relationship between the nationalities, between the countries, lands, and maybe in economic, in media, media law, and in the understanding of weapons. I thinking like that, to stay alive for all, for everybody,
Yes, yes, I totally agree. And we, Professor Noam Chomsky from the United States, he gave an interview, recently to New Statesman, the UK, a very, very reputable publication from the United Kingdom, and where he talked about his father, who fled Ukraine because he did not want to fight in Tsar's army. He was Jewish, and that his mother was from Belarus, right? So this was before the 20th century, yeah, during Tsar's time, and the Ukrainians and anyone who were living in Ukraine and part of Russian Empire they did not want to serve in the Tsar's Russian army, and so they migrated somewhere else. So he condemned Russian invasion. But the final thought, a lot of people focused on Putin, yeah, and the Chomsky was quite critical of that view, that this is about Putin being mad, and yeah, that's one way of looking at it. But he also talked about other ways of looking at this conflict. This is not just one madman trying
No,
to
no,
attack Ukraine. Can you
no.
can you share your thoughts? As a final subject on that one?
Okay, it's maybe one of the hardest question, because when we start to talk who is guilty, yeah, we want to have some satisfaction, and it's a really dangerous things, because from the resistance we need to not to go to the killers. Now it's a big aggression in Ukraine, you can see, and you can like it or not, but when your people, when your neighbors, when your children's, when your parents dying and being killed by someone, you need to be aggressive to stop it. But it's a different aggression, and also you need to hate these people, to kill them. It's hard to say, but it's true. If you want to win the battle, you need to be like that. But only thing the true is that you are not invasion in other land. You are staying here, but you anyway you need to be angry. You need to kill someone. Like, yes, okay, I'm civilian people, but if comes a time, I need to get the weapon and then fight. Hello.
Yes, I'm listening.
And what I want to say is we need to think about this differently of the situation. We cannot now ask Ukrainian to allow Russian people. Nobody can ask about this. You can look at Mariupol, you can look at Bucha. In my situation, also like that. They destroy everything I have before. They destroy my life, destroy the life of a lot of people. And every who are particularly trying to find some to explain it, why it needed to be. He is not my friend. He is an enemy for me. So I think in the whole world, the law is same. It not necessary if you are given order to kill people, or you killing by, or you killing because you have this order, or you are thinking the order this can be have a reason, or you want to hide and not to hear, not to see, and not to talk. So if you're a human, you have the eyes, you have the ears, you have the mouth, and you can talk, and you need to do this. That's what the humanity is becoming humanity. The way like. The other ways, you become an enemy of the people which you part of invasion of, you know. So it's like that now the times, it's like that, and you need to understand this. So if you're part of invasion, if you're part of enemies of someone, you will be part of an enemies. You will be like that. And it's not because of humanities of Ukrainians.
It is the result of the extremely outrageous and unsafe and aggressive situation that people are put into. So anyone scenario will fight back, right?
Yeah, and also I understand if we're talking about what I thinking. Yes, I understand that this is a result. Maybe the people are not guilty. It's a result of the Russian propaganda. It's a reason of a lot of time of this propaganda. You know, it's not like one year or 10 years or decades. It's more than maybe few centuries of this, because you know when all the presidents or chiefs or kings of Russian empire was coming, they get what they have before them. They was never destroy the previous plans and previous strategies. So it's like that, and I understand that the people maybe are not guilty, but they are guilty now for the people who are resist, who are trying to save their world. Because the world of truth. So if I fight in here, I fighting for the truth. If they fighting there, they fighting for the lie. So they will never get the respect of me.
Well, my brother, you have been fighting for 2 hours long. We plan to speak for 50 minutes, and I wanted to do some translation, but you know, the way you talked about your personal experience living through the Russian invasion was very, very powerful. And so I decided that I would just let you speak, and I will do a Burmese Facebook Live based on the conversation, so other Burmese people can understand what you are going through and what you are trying to do to support the Ukrainian resistance. So on that note, I want to thank you very much, and also more power to you and your Ukrainian resistance.
Thank you, Zarni, and I also very, very thanks to you that you helping to show it, to talk about this, because what we're talking about, I think it's very important now in all of the world. Thank you, Zarni.
Yeah, thank you, and stay healthy. That's all I can say.